Hello everyone and welcome to the first supplemental video for Shadow Man, where we go through Deacon's file. Let's see then. Agneta, here is the information you requested regarding the 5 serial killers, referred to by yourself as the 5. My research has led me into areas I do not normally pursue. No demon spoor, Asmodeus, as far as I can see. My sources tell me that each report is as current as it can be, especially the reports on Batrachian, Cruz, and Pike. The Batrachian report is particularly up-to-date, with the news item included that it is only a week old. When studying the information, of particular note is the inclusion of symbols and poems at the crime scenes, along with the phrase, "For we are many," taken, I believe, from the Bible, Mark chapter 5, verse 9. Are these guys in cahoots, or is it simply coincidence? Knowing you as I do, Nettie, I cannot believe it's the latter. Anyway, hope the stuff proves useful. Best regards. Alright then, let's go. Serial killer report number 1, named Dr. Victor Karl Batrachian. Born in Geneva, Switzerland, the son of a wealthy Swiss banker. A brilliant student, Batrachian graduated from Cambridge University in 1985 with a PhD in forensic psychiatry. Doctoral thesis defining ASPD, the psychopathology of antisocial personality disorder. Batrachian spent the following 4 years at the London Medical School training to become a general practitioner, MD. Was expelled from the school without completing the course. Exact details are unavailable. Emigrated to the US in early 1991 using forged certificates to gain green card. Established medical practice in Boston in 1993 using the name Dr. Arthur Falkus in partnership with Dr. Sean Macrose. Macrose was found dead in suspicious circumstances in 1994. Dr. Falkus subsequently disappeared with several $1,000s of the practice's money. Batrachian resurfaced 6 months later as Dr. Gunther Schadden, with a new medical practice in South Bend, Ohio. Was indicted on 5 counts of murder following the discovery of an insurance fraud involving 5 of his patients, all wealthy widows, who had willed him their entire fortunes and were subsequently found dead of natural causes. Batrachian, as her doctor, had signed all 5 death certificates. Captured by state police as he was about to cross the state line into Indiana, Batrachian absconded from the Butler County Sheriff's Office after killing 2 deputies and wounding a 3rd. At this point, December 1995, Batrachian appeared on the FBI's most wanted list. In December 1995, a handwritten letter, with an Abilene postmark, arrived at the offices of the Dallas Morning News. See attachment number 1. In it, the writer intimated, somewhat obscurely, that they intended to commit several blood sacrifices. The writer of the letter has since been identified as Batrachian. In January 1996, the corpse of a young man, never satisfactorily identified, was discovered in a derelict boathouse on the shores of Lake Fort Phantom Hill, Texas. Forensic examination showed that the head of the corpse has quite literally exploded, as though from some great and unnatural internal pressure. A strange symbol, figure number 1, had been branded onto the left side of the victim's chest. That is over the heart, probably. Over the next year and a half, 12 more murders followed, all with the same modus operandi. Exploded head and the left side of the chest branded with symbol. FBI agents captured Batrachian in August 1997. He was subsequently convicted on 15 counts of first-degree murder and sentenced to die in the electric chair. He is currently on death row at Gardell County Penitentiary, awaiting the results of his 2nd appeal and achieving a certain notoriety in artistic circles with what he calls his asylum installations. Figure number 2 below, as you can see. Indeed, London's Golgotha Art Gallery recently bought one of his schismata paintings for several $1,000s. On the right here we can see the brand that Dr. Batrachian inflicted upon his victims. And this is the attachment. The letter to Dallas Morning News, handwriting identified as belonging to Victor Batrachian. Dear Sir, I have brought his kingdom to earth, and a bloody cleansing is nigh. Indeed, it is well overdue. I am the leader of the 5, the watchers of the gate of souls. We shall make the way for the coming of his glorious army, and as a fanfare, we demand several sacrifices. Blood sacrifices for his pleasure. So be aware, then, that the road to your Golgotha shall be slippery with your blood, for we are many. I remain as ever, disrespectfully yours, the Lizard King. which is probably the what this symbol represents, a lizard. This is the attachment number 2. Update. News story from the front page of Clearford Chronicle, dated 1 week ago. Mass killer masterminds prison siege. Mass killer Dr. Victor Batrakian is the mastermind behind the 3-day-old siege at Gardell County Penitentiary. Batrakian, who has been in death row for the past 2 years, convicted on 1997 for the murder of 15 people, has become something of a celebrity in artistic circles with his schismata paintings in what he terms his asylum installations. Details are sketchy, but it appears that last Thursday evening, Batrakian was momentarily left alone in the prison's art studio. When the guards returned, he was nowhere to be found. After killing 4 guards and a trustee, Batrakian managed to override the security systems in the maximum security wing, releasing over 300 prisoners from their cells. The condition of the 25 hostages taken by the prisoners is unknown. Gardell Penitentiary is currently surrounded by 150 National Guardsmen, and several elite SWAT teams are on standby, but as yet they have not been given the order to go in. So it looks like Dr. Batrakian has been getting busy as of late, which probably explains why Nettie has been having these dreams. I don't think that these prison riots he has instigated are unrelated to the coming of the many. Now, attachment number 3. Poem found at the crime scene, clutched in the hand of the victim. The Lizard King shall lead the 5. From out a southern jail shall cut his bloody swath. True hate shall find a way. In him the darkness stands revealed. His eyes as void as a dead man's gaze, as cold as the light from a dying star. For we are many. Quite prophetic, don't you think? Let's go to Serial Killer Report number 2. For one Marco Roberto Cruz. Born from February to November 1996, Marco Roberto Cruz kidnapped and murdered 10 people, preying on couples mainly in and around Death Valley and the Mojave Desert. The following symbol was found nearby each victim. The following poem was also found near each of the victims. For in the western desert he finds a form. He is the child with the mouth of blood, the bleakness before the beginning of time. He is the glint of ice in a murderer's eye, the savage heart of every crime. For we are many. Ironically, Cruz actually worked as a repo man for 5 years. He also worked as a DJ and had an auto shop business at one time. Served 7 years for armed robbery and aggravated assault. No previous convictions for homicide, but was implicated in several killings with lack of evidence to convict. On October 14, 1996, Cruz gave himself up to marshals in Austin, Texas. The bodies of his last victims still hidden beneath a tarpaulin in the back of his pickup. He was indicted on 10 counts of first-degree murder and is currently incarcerated at Gardell County Penitentiary, awaiting execution. It is not known whether he is among the inmates involved in the riot at the jail. I don't think it's a coincidence that 2 of them are incarcerated in the same penitentiary. Serial Killer Report number 3 for one Milton T. Pike. A Vietnam veteran from 71 to 73, Green Beret, Special Forces Electronics Countermeasures expert. Dishonorably discharged in 73 following an alleged rape of female officer. Upon discharge, worked as a TV repairman from 74 to 80. Indicted for the shooting of his mother, Francine Pike, in 1979, but was acquitted due to lack of evidence. Joined the American Knights of the Cross, a survivalist militia group, in 1980. In 1981, he formed his own breakaway splinter group, Knights of the American Heartland. With fortified compound located near Eureka, Florida, the identifying symbol of the KAH is remarkably similar to the crossed spear symbol. See attachment number 10, found on stickers affixed to the videotape sent by the video nasty offender to various state police officials. KAH incorporated into National Militia Organization in 1982, with subsequent expulsion later that year following Pike's murder of 18 of his own militiamen with a rocket-propelled grenade. Returned briefly to TV repair business from 82 to 84, and during this time the FBI discovered he subscribed to every known electronics-based periodical and magazine. Became Forest Ranger in 1986 under an assumed name, Franklin P. Tyndall, working in Cypress National Preserve in the Everglades with a specialty in alligator preservation. In 1991, he was arrested following the murder of a hiker in the Cypress National Preserve. Escaped from custody, killing 2 sheriff's deputies in the process. Pike's whereabouts unknown from 1991 to 1997. From December 1995 to September 96, Pike murdered 9 women, disposing of their bodies in numerous locations. We can see who these were and when they died over here. Now, Pike was known by the sobriquet Video Nasty Killer due to the fact that state police in all of the states mentioned above were the unfortunate recipients of videotapes showing in horrific detail the hunting down and subsequent slaughter of at least 6 of the above victims. The following poem was found nearby each of the victims. And lo, if war should have a face, this one of 5 should show that bleeding mask, ears pricked to savor every scream, teeth bare to strip the carcass wet, and tongue to lay that vessel dry, for we are many. Pike was captured by FBI agents in October 96 following a series of anonymous tip-offs. The caller gave his code name as Legion. 3 agents were killed and 5 wounded in the furious gun battle that followed. Pike, severely wounded himself, eventually passed out due to blood loss and was taken to the Dallas Memorial Hospital, where he remained in a critical condition for several days. Following his recovery, he was tried and convicted on 11 counts of first-degree murder. One of the FBI agents had subsequently died of his wounds, and is currently incarcerated at Gardell Penitentiary awaiting execution. As with the previously mentioned offender and fellow death row inmate, Marco Roberto Cruz, it is not known whether Pike is among the prisoners involved in the riot at Gardell. 3 out of 3 then. And this is a photograph of the crossed spear symbol affixed to a videotape sent to the state police. Serial Killer Report Number 4. Criminal profile of serial offender known as the Home Improvement Killer. We don't have anything about this guy except his background. Now, it is estimated that the offender known as the Home Improvement Killer has so far murdered 12 people of both sexes over a period of 2 years in and around the New York area. A peculiar facet of this offender's signature behavior is that he leaves behind the skull of a baby canary. Hidden inside the skull is a piece of rolled-up paper, torn from a notebook. Written neatly on the paper in black ink is a poem, attachment number 2A, beneath which is drawn an arcane symbol, which we see here. A reclusive individual, white male in his late 20s, of low intelligence with a background in carpentry. Introverted personality, has a strong misogynist tendency, with particular emphasis on mother resentment, verging on psychosis. Disorganized in his personal life, yet highly organized insofar as his modus operandi for each killing is concerned, all of which seem to have taken place at night. Suspect possibly seen leaving the scene of the crime, westbound along Braddock Avenue, in the early hours of August 30, 1999. Description given is the following. Prime suspects' data are as follows, of course. You can check them out here. Indicted in 1997 for an attack on a young woman in Greenwich Village. Disappeared while on bail, paid for by mother. Also wanted for subsequent murder of Mrs. Casey Marks, the offender's widowed mother, in February 98. Victim found in darkened bedroom. Offender had apparently switched off the power in her apartment house. Known to keep birds. Present whereabouts unknown. And here we have a photo of quote-unquote furniture. You can probably imagine what the furniture is made of. I'll give you a hint. It's leather. And the poem found at the crime scene rolled up neatly inside the skull of a baby canary. From the east the idiot monster cometh, with nails to announce its blasphemous intent. In still dark chambers it awaits the shadow, ebon body, scars of power, dark messiah with a hideous strength, for we are many. And here we have the criminal profile of the serial offender known as Jack 2. This offender, known as Jack 2, for reasons that will become evident later in the report, preys solely on women, striking late at night or in the early hours of the morning, on or near London Underground stations in the East End of London. The offender has so far murdered 4 women. When compared against the 5 murders perpetrated in London between August 31 and November 9, 1888, by the offender known as Jack the Ripper, we can see some striking similarities. Surprise, surprise. As can be seen when comparing the above lists, all the latest victims have very similar names to the original victims, and their recent locations, when looked at on a map of London, are very close to the 1888 murder sites. There are further similarities in that the recent murders by Jack 2 have almost identical MOs to the 1888 killings. The frenzy of each attack seems to indicate a highly disturbed individual who is sexually and socially inadequate, with extreme misogynistic tendencies, channeling his anger against women. Post-mortem mutilation shows no medical knowledge. Offender is an introverted loner who will pass unnoticed to his chosen killing grounds and as such will definitely return to the scene of his crimes. The similarities between this case and the one in 1888 extend to the appearances of the two offenders. Compare the artist's impression of the offender at the beginning of this report, based on a description offered by a witness who saw Anna Chaplin, a known prostitute, talking to a man outside Shoreditch Station on the night of September 8, with that of the man in Figure 2, a contemporary impression of Jack the Ripper. As for the prime suspect, the Scotland Yard has no prime suspect at present. Attachment 1B. Discovered scrawled in white chalk on a wall near Whitechapel Station in the morning following the murder of Mary Nicholas. The watchers at the gate of souls shall make the way. The five are red in tooth and claw. The head, the heart, the hands, the teeth, the eyes. All combine to create the five. For we are many. And now that symbol on the bottom right there is eerily similar to what Dr. Batrakian was drawing. Attachment 2B. Discovered scrawled in white chalk on a wall near Shoreditch Station on the morning following the murder of Anna Chaplin. The knife shall carve its bloody ritual. A sanguinary return to a darker place. Flesh running cold with the shedding of tears. To shred, to cut, to slice, to know. The weeping wound and its glooming soul. For we are many.